here's something counterintuitive. Trying to communicate better with a manipulator often backfires. Most people think that if they just explain more clearly, they can reason with them. But manipulators are not playing by the same rules. So if you've ever felt exhausted, frustrated, or like nothing that you say works, and this video will cover why communicating better often makes manipulation worse, a simple mindset shift that gives you back your control, and how to respond in ways that feel natural, not forced. If you often freeze or overthink what to say, my freeze recovery response kit can help. It has dozens of ready-to-use phrases for real-life scenarios, so you can respond confidently without overthinking or freezing up. Let's jump straight in. Misunderstanding 1 is thinking that if I explain more clearly that they'll understand. Most people think that manipulators are logical and fair, that if we just explain better, then they'll understand and they'll see it from our point of view. But here's a reality check. Manipulators aren't playing by logic or playing fairly. I once had a coworker who was pushing deadlines that were not mine. I explained my reasoning multiple times, and what happened? More pressure, just pressure on top of pressure. And once I realized explaining doesn't help them to see, focused on my words and my boundaries instead. I focused on being calm, clear, firm, and then once I'm done, I'm done. Your goal here isn't to convince them, it's to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. Your goal is to assert your boundary, not to change their minds. So here's a practical step. Instead of trying to convince them, use short sentences like, I can't do that, or that's not something I can take on. The idea here is to limit the space for debate or guilt. You're limiting the space for them to manipulate you. Even if they push, repeat it calmly. This is what keeps you in control. I have a family member who always tries to make me feel guilty if I say no about doing something. Maybe it's a holiday, but I have my own plans or my own ideas about how I want to spend my time for that holiday. If maybe I don't go to do what it is that she wants me to do, or if she invites me to her home on the weekend and I choose not to go, because when I go, I always find myself not relaxed, and I'm always doing things that I didn't go there with the intention of doing. I used to over-explain. I used to explain my schedule. I would explain my reason. I would explain everything. And then I would feel drained afterward, because then she starts talking about things that are completely irrelevant. She's debating me. She's guilt-tripping me by talking about death and how we're related and all these things. Once I switched to a simple, calm system, the tension dropped. I wasn't trying to teach her a lesson, but I was taking care of myself. And here's the unpopular truth. You don't need to communicate better with a manipulator. You need to communicate clearly and calmly with yourself first. Know your boundary, practice your response, and honor your boundary. This takes away power from the manipulator, not by trying to reason with them, but by staying grounded in your own energy. So instead of reasoning with that family member who was talking about death and guilt, I just said, okay, this is what I'm able to do. I'm not available for that. Or this is what I'm trying to address right now. I'm not paying attention to the deflections or the guilt tripping or talking about all this other stuff that isn't relevant to what I am trying to express. It's not relevant to me and my boundary. So here are some common mistakes to avoid. 1, over-explaining. When you over-explain, they're not going to hear you better. Like the second time or the 10th time that you repeat yourself, it's not going to make them hear you any more clearly. It's just giving them more ways to poke holes into your statement, poke holes into your boundary. You're giving them more ways to debate with you, to guilt trip you, to argue with you. So don't over explain. State your boundary clearly, calmly, confidently, and repeat if necessary, and then be done with it. Don't keep debating and over explaining. If you do this, in the end, it will just make you feel more drained, and you might find yourself even feeling confused, like not even remembering why you have that boundary that you wanted to enforce in the first place. Mistake 2 is apologizing unnecessarily. Don't apologize for enforcing your boundary. If you need the time or the space, or you're not available for something, don't apologize for it. If you don't have the energetic capacity to do something, there's nothing wrong with saying no. Be calm, concise, as I said before, but do not apologize. Don't let them guilt trip you into backpedaling on your boundary or eating your words or apologizing for wanting to have more time to yourself or for wanting to have space to yourself. If you apologize, you're feeding into the manipulation and you are reinforcing their behavior because you're saying sorry to them now for wanting something that was completely valid. You're apologizing for something that was completely valid, and then now you're telling them, okay, this is what you need to do. So every time I come to you and I say that this is my limit, this is what you need to do to get me to change my mind. Don't apologize. The third mistake to avoid is matching their emotional intensity. Some manipulators get loud. They'll get angry. They might be visibly upset. They get loud. They get frustrated. Do not match their emotional intensity, because what this is doing to you is it's causing you to lose clarity. When you become emotional and you're angry and you're frustrated and you're trying to shout as loud as they shout, you get confused. You get so emotional that you lose your clarity. You lose your clarity, and this creates an opening for them to creep in and get you to backpedal on your boundary. Once your clarity goes, you're giving them room to debate you, to guilt trip you, to question you, and to change your mind. So focus on being clear. Have a neutral emotion. Be calm, be clear, be firm, but no screaming matches, no raised voices. In fact, when they get loud, keep your voice at the same neutral level. You're not shouting. You're saying, this is what I'm available for, or I'm not available for this, or I understand you're upset, but this is my limit. This is my boundary. Don't get caught up in the emotional back and forth with them. These are completely natural responses, but they give your manipulators fuel. They feed into the manipulation. Recognize the pattern, pause, and then respond calmly. If you feel tense or you overthink after your interactions, I have something that can help you. It's my free guide. It's called the Emotional Reset Guide, and it will help you to calm your body, settle your mind, and to speak your truth calmly and confidently. Both this and my Freeze Recover Response Kit that's packed with scripts ready to use that you can use in any situation, and you can also amend them to fit your voice. There are many options. There are multiple scenarios. I can't wait for you to try this out for yourself. Both these guides are linked below. So if you feel called, if you think that this is something that will help you in these interactions, feel free to check them out. They're linked in the description below. Remember, manipulators thrive on your uncertainty and your overthinking. Each time you practice calm, simple responses, you take your power back. You're not rude, you're not mean, and you're not cold for protecting yourself and honoring your boundary. Even small changes in your wording or your tone of voice can make a big impact and completely shift the dynamic. Comment below and tell me if this was a perspective shift for you. Which tactic do you notice most in your everyday life? Subscribe for weekly strategies on spotting manipulation and responding calmly, confidently, and unapologetically. Remember, links to both my free emotional reset guide and my freeze recovery response kit are linked in the description. So if you feel called, if you feel this on your heart that this is something that you need to help you get through these stressful interactions, remember to check them out. The links are in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.